Year 4 and welcome to Friday's lesson. So we're carrying on with decimals today. I hope you got on okay with it yesterday. If there's any questions after this video, you can message on the blog and we're happy to help explain anything to you. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. So to start us off, we've got some mental maths questions. So you can pause the video in a minute, grab a pen and paper and write down your answers. So do that now, pause the video. And then here are the answers so you can check to see how many you got right out of 5. Okay, so back on to decimals. So here's our place value grid. So we're going to focus more on the ones, the tenths, the hundredths and the thousandths again today. Remember, to the left of the decimal are whole numbers and to the right of the decimal point you've got numbers that are less than a whole. So I just want to show you the place value counters. Here, this pink one with the number 1 in represents one whole. So if you were to write that on a place value grid, it would just be written as 1. You don't need the decimal point or any zeros because it's just one whole. Here, we have got the place value counter that represents a tenth. Okay, and it's 0.1. So there's no whole number, and then there's a decimal place, and there's 1/10. So this written would look like this: no ones, the decimal point, and 1/10. And then the hundredth place value counter looks like this. It's got 0 ones, 0 tenths, and 1/100th. So again, written down place value, it would be 0, decimal point, 0 tenths, and 1/100th. Okay, so just so you're familiar with these place value counters, because you're going to be using them in your activity today. So here is a whole. The square is a whole number, and in this whole number there are 100 hundredths. Okay, you can see each one of these is 100th, and in the whole there is 100 hundredths. Okay, now 1/10, there is 10 hundredths in it. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hundredths make up 1/10. So there is a dotted line around it, but I'll just draw another line. So 10 hundredths represent 1/10. Okay, now what I'd like you to do today with me is to look at these place value counters, and I would like you to write down on a whiteboard or a piece of paper, whatever, your place values. So you've got your ones, your decimal place, your tenths, and your hundredths. So you can write it down like that. I have got that here, look, ones, tenths, and hundredths. And I'm going to look at the place value counters, and I'm going to connect them. So I want you to think about how you would write that as a decimal. So you can pause the computer and write that down. Okay, so it would look like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hundredths are there. So I know that the 5 goes in the hundredths column, and then I would need to put 0 in the tenths because there were no tenths, and 0 in the ones because there were no ones. And as a fraction, that would look like 5 out of 100. That's 5 hundredths. Okay? Now on the next one, I want you to do the same thing, but we've got a different amount of hundredths. So again, pause the video, and I want you to try and write this down as a decimal. Okay, so pause the video now. Okay, let's count. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hundredths here. Now, it's 10 hundredths, so you can hear the word hundredths, 10 hundredths. But you cannot write 10 in the hundredths column. You can't write a 2-digit number in one place value. Now, do you remember what I told you before? That actually 10 hundredths make up 1/10. So 10 of these make up a tenth. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 hundredths, you just put in the hundredths column. So let's just rub that out. So if it was 9 hundredths, you'd write 9 hundredths and then 0 tens, your decimal place, and 0 ones. But if it's 10 hundredths, 10 hundredths, 10 out of 100, actually converts to 1/10. So you've got 10 hundredths equivalent to 1/10. There's still no whole number, so that's a 0. So it's 0.1 or 0.10. You don't necessarily need that there. So remember, 10 hundredths convert to 1/10. And remember, I showed you that here. 10 of these actually equals 1 of these. Now, if we move on again and count how many hundredths we have here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hundredths. Now, your questions will be laid out like this today. You'll count how many hundredths there are and write it here. So 13 hundredths equal how many tenths and how many hundredths. And if we write 13 here out of 100, we know that actually 10 of the hundredths represent a tenth, and then 3 hundredths represent the hundredths. Now I'll just show you that. So 10 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 can be converted into 1/10, and then these 3 will stay in the hundredth because they don't make up a tenth, because you need 10 of them. So there are no ones here, then your decimal point, and then you've got 1/10 because there's one lot of 10, and then 3 hundredths. So it's 0.3. Just to break that down, it's 1/10 plus 3 hundredths. And then you write it down as 2 separate decimals. So you're telling me 13 hundredths converts to 1/10 and 3 hundredths. And then you're saying that 1/10 written down looks like that, and 3 hundredths written down as a decimal looks like this. And then when you put the 2 together, it's 0.13. And you can use your place values to help you. Okay, let's have another go. So you've got lots of hundredths here. I already counted them, but you need to do that for your question. And it equals 21 hundredths. So you need to ask yourself, if it's below 10, it will just go in the hundredths column. But anything above 10 anything above 10 hundredths can be converted into tenths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 hundredths. So I know 10 of those can be converted into a tenth. And there's another 10 there. There's another 10 hundredths there. They make a tenth. And then this 100th on its own just stays as a hundredth because it can't be converted into a tenth. So this makes 2 tenths and 1 hundredth. Now, if you don't know how to write 2 tenths, you can use this, look, 0 ones, decimal point, and 2 tenths. Just write it in there. And then I'm going to add my 100th. Again, if you don't know how to write 100th, you know the 1 will go in the hundredth column, 0 tenths, decimal point, and 0 ones. So you'd write 0.01. So So 0.2 shows 2/10, 0.01 shows 100. And then you want the answer together. So what is 2/10 plus 100? Well, 2/10 and 100. Put my decimal point in, there are no ones. It's 0.21. Okay, so just to go over this, because you're going to have questions like this. You count up the hundredths, you write down how many hundredths there are, how many convert into tenths, how many hundredths are left over. You need to write them both as separate decimals, and you can use your place values to do that, and then put them together. So 2/10 and 100th, what does that look like as a decimal? The next question you're going to get is, you're not going to get them as pictures, you're just going to get them as words. 500. So what is 500ths written as a decimal? Well, again, put your place value, ones, decimal points, tenths and hundredths. If it's 500ths, that actually is going to be 5 parts out of 100 parts. So you put the 5 in the hundredths place. There are no tenths and there are no ones. Remember to put your decimal point. You've got 9 hundredths here. So again, that would be 9 out of 100. So 9 would go in the hundredths place. There are no tenths, your decimal point, and no ones. Now, this is 42 hundredths, so this would be 42 out of 100. Now, you cannot put 42 in the hundredths column because that's a 2-digit number in one place value. So, remember, 10 hundredths make a tenth. So how many tens have you got here? You've got 4 tens, so that would make 4 tenths. And then you've got 2 hundredths left over. And no ones. So decimal point, 0 ones. Then you've got 87 hundredths. So that's 87 out of 100. Again, you can't put 87 in the hundredths column. So you need to see if you can exchange any of the hundredths for tenths. Remember, 10 hundredths make a tenth. So we've got 8 tens. So 8 tenths. 7 hundredths. And 0 ones or whole numbers. Okay? Again, you can see that I've used place value to help structure it and know where to put each number. And then here, you're giving them as fractions and you're just converting them into decimals. So we've got 56 hundredths. So again, you can't put 56 in the hundredth column. Can you convert any of these hundredths into tenths? Yeah, there are 5 tenths here. 6 hundredths. And 0 whole numbers in a decimal point. 3 hundredths, I can't convert 3 hundredths into a tenth because you need 10 tenths. So that 3 would just stay in the hundredths column. 0 tenths, decimal point, and 0 ones. Now, here things get a little bit trickier, but it's so simple. I've got 2 whole numbers and 33 hundredths. Well, 2 whole numbers is going to go in the ones column because it's a whole number, not a decimal. So it's 2 whole numbers, your decimal point, and then you've got 33 hundredths. We know we can convert 30 hundredths into tenths, and then we've got 3 hundredths left. So it would be 2.33. And we've got another whole number, 1, so that goes in your ones column. Decimal point and 86 hundredths. So we know that 80 of the hundredths can be converted into 8 tenths. And then we've got 6 hundredths left over because they can't be converted into tenths. There's not enough, so that's 1.86. There's quite a lot to do today, so watch the video carefully, and if you need to go back and check, then do that. But the main important thing for you to do is to make sure you've got your place value written on a piece of paper and use it. If you need any help, message us on the blog. If not, have a fantastic weekend and I'll speak to you on Monday. Bye.